Welcome, all. We are about to hop into our first adventure of the evening, which I've entitled Nightmares on Main Street. But before we get into that, well, a couple of things. One, we're as always going to introduce our characters, but I would also just like to take a little bit of time and talk about, since we are in uncharted ground in this sort of continuing story that's happening in the land of DnDTime. I would like to take a little bit of a moment to talk about what's been going on in the land of DnDTime. Over the course of the last week, of course, where we left off, Bartholomew fell asleep, and perhaps his nightmare, but some strange thing crawled out of his head through a massive portal called the Nightmare Court, and whisked Bartholomew away. And along with him, as the Nightmare Court exited with Bartholomew in tow, countless nightmares began to pour out of that portal, the entrance through which the Nightmare Court came in. In this past week, those nightmares have rampaged throughout the land of DnDTime. They travel everywhere, specifically going towards large and congregated groups of people, and are causing the individuals' nightmares to manifest in the real world. They have the ability to shift reality around them, and DnDTime is in something of an apocalypse at the moment. Those people that are still surviving, many of them are Bartholomew's adventurers, who have banded together without the absence of their leader. They have quite a few less resources available to them. However, between the adventurers of Bartholomew's shop, there has been a communication network that has been set up, various radio signals and the like that are used to transmute messages across the lands of DnDTime, trying to find some way to solve or stop this problem in the absence of a lot of the convenient teleportation magic that Bartholomew provides in a lot of instances. So, where we begin, the four of you are in the region of Central City, one of the most dangerous places currently in the land of DnDTime because of the very high population density. Just like in a zombie apocalypse, where it's very dangerous to be near the cities, in the same way it's very dangerous to be in central cities, as hundreds upon even thousands of nightmares have congregated there. My question, as we introduce each of you, and I'm going to go down the line now, is what brings each of you to Central City? I'm going to put you on the spot and begin with you, Oldman McWizardface. What are you doing in this most kind of dangerous region?
I live here!
An excellent answer. So, Oldman, you're just kind of like refusing to give any ground. You're just staying in the city. You and I imagine Miracrons.
Of course! You should have seen the other night I fell asleep, and when I woke up, there were two mirrors! Except one mirror turned inside out into a gibbering mouther, and every mouth was nagging me! Oh my god!
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare, Oldman.
Indeed, but me, Mira, and the boys managed to put it down to say,
The boys?
why, yes, there's Rip the Rough, there's the Tiger of Terrible Truths,
Oh, yes, yes.
Familiar, even Striker McLizardface joined in.
Well, I'm glad that you were. I'm glad that you were successful in that regard, at least. Oldman, I'm also just glad to hear that you're safe. So it certainly makes sense that you would have heard to the particular radio signal that is going to spark the beginning of our first adventure here. But I'm glad that you're well, Oldman.
Oh yes, it's been difficult. All of these monsters need to get off my lawn!
Very good, Oldman. And I'll say this, your lawn is definitely not what it usually is, but I'll get into that in a brief moment. Next up, we have returning Anadoltia Bluebeads. Anadoltia, how are you?
A bit tired from what happened last week since I was actually at the slumbering spine escorting some unfortunate children around.
Oh, dear. Yes, you've made kind of you've made a pretty long hike to get to Central City today. What is it that
Yeah.
has brought you to the region of Central City?
Uh, Basically, getting some fellow friends I've made during my long, I guess, life, which
Mhm.
the people I'm trying to get into Confectia's care are some homeless persons that I've been taking care of for quite a while.
Really? So, did you say some hummus? Did you say hummus
Homeless.
for? Oh, homeless. I thought you said some hummus persons, which wasn't um, which wasn't necessarily that unreasonable coming from the Candy Kingdom that there might be hummus people somewhere. But these
Oh
friends
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah. The hummus people are actually
oh yes, yes, of course.
they're more annoying than you would expect.
hmm but these friends of yours, you were helping transport them here.
I was I was transporting them to Confectia's realm under pastry because they actually have a bit of a safety network there at the moment.
Oh, well, I hope that you're able to. I hope you're, or I suppose at this point you've already kind of found that, and
Yes,
there certainly are various kind of forces that have built havens within the city. But very good, Anadoltia. Welcome tonight.
thank you.
Next up, we have returning. It's been a long time, but we have Sotaria Avenia. Sotaria, welcome.
Oh, I leave and I come back, and what mischief have I been? What the hell have I missed?
You have missed quite a lot. Essentially, everyone's nightmares are crawling out of a terrible nightmare portal into the prime material plane, and Bartholomew has been kidnapped, and the only people left are you guys to stop it.
Um,
So
isn't
you're
this
in a bit of a
deja
tough spot.
vu? Isn't this deja vu? Don't I remember doing this a year ago?
Oh, you must be referring, of course, to when Lemic kidnapped Bartholomew. That's a completely different Bartholomew kidnapping. Lemic was more of a carnival themed. This one just seems a lot more evil and frankly dangerous and scary. This one's this one's a lot scarier.
So I don't get to use my joke this year. Oh,
I mean, maybe you might be able to find an opportunity to use whatever joke that may be. But Sotaria, I also have a question for you. What brings you to Central City, one of the more dangerous regions in the world right now?
uh, honestly, I kind of disappeared here. Don't
Really?
ask me how. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. All of a sudden, poof, I'm here.
Well, that certainly is convenient, and I think it might be in some way or another fate that you have arrived on this day at this particular time. So Taria, welcome back to the land of D&D time.
Eh,
And last but not least, we have Sword Coheir. Sword, I feel like you're always last, and I think it's just because it's generally speaking alphabetical. But Sword, how are you?
I haven't left since Big Larry's. I've been stuck in this place. Like I said last time, it was just a big tourist trap.
Uh, yes, I remember you mentioning how you were getting kind of sucked into all these tourist traps. Is this perhaps Sword's nightmare? Is just being locked into all of these like sort of very small and sort of these very small and separate uh, just tourist trap. I'm sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. It looks like I need to change my name on Discord really quick because there's something wrong. Bup, 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 bup. Sorry about that. Getting stuck into all these little tourist traps around the central city, is that what your nightmare has manifested as?
No, it's just a poorly laid out city.
Yes, and certainly with all of the kind of recent changes that you've noticed kind of come over it over the course of the last week, with the invasion of nightmares, it has become even more poorly laid out, labyrinthine, in a word. Sword.
Strangely enough, no, I've not really had to deal with any of the creatures that I've seen lurking about.
Mm, mm. Well, that is certainly fortunate, as they are pretty dense in this region. And Sword, I guess my last question for you is: have you been getting any sleep? I know most of the people around here are completely bedraggled by the fact that, well, going to sleep draws the nightmares towards one.
Uh, no, actually, I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, that is definitely the mood throughout the city as we begin here. So through through a particular message, all of you that were very close to this region, those of you who ended up here in Central City, received a message from a friend, um, one that you had spoken to very recently, Sword, um, and I believe actually also you, Anadoltia. Uh, a skeleton by the name of Phillip Q. Janglebones. You received radio correspondence through your kind of arcane trigonometric transmitters that have been equipped with a lot of Bartholomew's adventurers. And Phillip Q. Janglebones kind of called out to you, "Adventurers, adventurers!" And you kind of heard all of this in your various through your various devices. "We need you to come to the top of the clock tower here in Central City. I have some words that need to be delivered by..." And then he was cut off. He came back a brief moment later. "I have some words that need to be delivered, well, directly to you. I think I have a way to get..." And then he was cut off again. And then you didn't receive any more transmission from him. You all kind of gathered and congregated a little bit closer. And as we begin, you're all just kind of like meeting up in one of these central stairs, one of the central roads as you're wandering Central City. But you have been called by Phillip Q. Janglebones to meet atop the clock tower. It is one of the more prominent buildings in Central City, and you can see it sort of looming in the distance at the end of Main Street, which is one of the main roads in Central City. The four of you meet for the first time among the city streets, and that is where our adventure begins.
Good night, Mira. Make sure that Rip and the Tiger don't fight. Hello, guys.
Hello, Oldman. Been a while since we chat.
Indeed. Oh, how much stronger you are now.
You'll be quite surprised.
And who's this little one?
Oldman kind of looks down, presumably at your sticky puppy. Anadoltia.
Yes, this is Lady Molly. She's a sticky puppy. I guess it's a derivation or a subspecies of the Mastiff.
I will need to draw her sometime. But now is not the time.
And
Indeed.
Oldman, as you say the word time, it kind of echoes very strangely out of your mouth. You say the word time, 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 and it seems to like sit and float in the air. Because as you look around you, there are a number of, well, Central City has some of the largest structures in the land of DnDTime, but they seem to stretch higher. They seem to be taller than they ever were before, and as they move up higher and higher, they sort of twist and bend, as the nightmares have shaped the very reality of the city that you're in, making it appear just cartoonish and strange. The street lamps glow a bright red, and around each sort of corner, it seems like shadows are just always kind of lurking out of view. The road, which is normally a straight shot to the clock tower up ahead, bends and twists. You can still see the tower rising above everything else in the skyline, but the road itself is curvy. The cobblestones turning a little bit of a darker black than their normal matte gray.
Why couldn't they give me a bigger house? Instead, they just ruined my lawn.
Well, this is gonna be a fun time.
You two. Hello, Sword. I believe that we know each other.
I'd hope so.
Yes, I remember you too as well, Sword. Who's this other? I don't remember you.
I think I've seen her on the roster before, but it's been a while.
Yes, Anadoltia, kind of addressing you, Sotaria.
What, Sword? You don't remember me? I guess I kind of left. So, who wants to fill me in?
Well,
Before I decide to take a nap.
Well, I'll fill you in considering I was at the scene at the time, but in short, Bartholomew fell asleep, nightmares came out and stole him away, and now...
No, they're destroying my lawn!
Yeah, let's just say, if you go to sleep, more nightmares will come.
In other words, Bartholomew's fault.
Yes, as it always is.
I was just about to say that. Thank you for finishing my line.
You sort of walk, stepping along the cobblestone steps of the cobblestone blocks of this street. And as you do so, excuse me, each step sort of echoes, like very much in the same way that your words did before, Oldman. As you're kind of turning around a corner, you hear in the distance, as you're kind of looking down a side street, what sounds like kind of a large group of people jeering and booing. You're hearing boo, boo, and that's kind of coming from what sounds like a large crowd. You turn to your right and you see what appears to be a kind of theater that has been set up, and there is a person that is standing upon it, and they seem to be doing like stand-up or something along those lines, and it looks like a mort, but they are in their boxers, which have little kind of hearts on them, and they are just kind of bombing on the stage, and people are like throwing tomatoes up at them, as this is not an entirely uncommon scene. Various people, anyone kind of caught out, ends up living through whatever their nightmare may be. This appears to be another kind of poor individual that has been caught up in their own nightmare. And as you're kind of seeing this from the right, you hear a scream and a cry coming from behind you. You see a woman running at you. She's kind of wearing a long traditional dress, and you see from behind her a streak of flame come rushing past. She's running right down from a side alley towards where you are, and you can see behind her several creatures that appear to be made out of flame. Living flame are kind of chasing after her, cackling a little bit as they chase her. Another blast of fire kind of comes rushing past over her shoulder. You see it kind of connects with her dress, and she kind of gets a pretty bad burn. You see about the shoulder, and she kind of continues to run, and you just hear her kind of screaming, "Oh, I hate fire! I hate it!" And she is also just kind of running down the street past you. She kind of looks to the four of you, and you see her start kind of running towards you, hopefully for safety. What do all of you do?
I guess I'll look to Lady Molly and say, okay, you could get ready on my command. Then Anadoltia will take flight using the bat hat.
Well, I guess it's time to get started.
In that case, why don't y'all roll for initiative? It sounds like.
Grown.
Oh wow, I wasn't having that today.
Hey, nice. Have one roll for both because they're the same. Oh wow. Oh wait, no, that was not me. That was Israel. There we go. All right. So the first to act in this instance is you, Sotaria. You see these four sort of creatures just made of what looks like elemental fire that are running after, chasing this woman through the streets. What do you do?
First off, guys, I hate to say this, but I have nothing that's going to do anything against fire, so I'm just going to stay out of your way. So I pull out the witch, put it on, and go fly up in the air.
Oh, delightful. You begin kind of flying upwards as you place your witch costume on. That is lovely. That is a relic of last year's Halloween, as it were. In that case, that is going to bring us next in initiative to... Anadoltia. What do you want to do?
Okay, as I kind of already flew up into the air beforehand, I will look towards where the my feet are, and yeah, how far are they from me at the moment?
There are, as they're kind of turning around this alleyway from you, they're not very far away. They're maybe only like 20 feet or so. They're kind of running out of it following this woman. There's a couple of these things that look kind of like a traditional mephit that are flying around, a couple more that are just walking on the ground.
Okay, in that case, the first thing I'm going to do is cast Ray of Frost at them.
All right, go ahead and make me an attack roll.
Or at least the closest ones, either way.
You're going after one of the flying ones or one of the ground ones?
The flying ones, they pose more of a danger to me.
All right, go ahead and make me that attack roll. A 12 does in fact hit. The frost flies over. It strikes into one of these beings. It looks like I said made of like magma. As it hits, steam smokes off of the creature's form. It it clearly does not like being hit by that particular strike.
Serves you right.
And you fly. I'm assuming you're just flying as high as you can up in the air.
As high as I can, but also within range of most of my spells.
Okay, so you get up. Well, I mean, 30 feet for your first movement anyway. So you get. You pick up off the ground and begin your ascent. That is going to then bring us to sword. Or sorry, did you have a bonus action?
No, that'll be all for now.
All right, that's going to bring us to sword. What do you want to do?
I will. You said they're all about 20 feet.
Yes.
In that case, I will start with my classic opener and move in range and summon my spirit guardians.
Okay. You won't be able to get. They're all within about 20 feet, but not necessarily of each other. They're kind of like in a little bit wide. You could probably get. You could probably get 3 of them realistically, or actually no, because there's some that are flying. You need to get either the 2 on the ground or the 2 in the air.
Let's start with the 2 in the air.
Okay, sure. And on their turn, they will make that save. And anything else on your turn?
Nope, that'll be it.
And that is a wisdom saving throw for them, correct?
Yes, a 14.
The 2 are going to say, wow, they both do really well on that wisdom save, which they have no bonus to, and they take half damage, so each of them take 3 points of damage. Of the tiny spirit guardians reaching up and trying to cut into them, but the creatures turn and kind of dodge out of the way as best they can. The 2 that are flying, one of them is going to run at each of you. One flies up to where you are, Anadoltia, and one flies over to where you are on the Witch's Broom. That is going to be against Misra. So this first one's going to be against you, Anadoltia. One is attacking you for a 15. Does that hit?
Just barely hit.
Oof. So you're going to take 5 points of damage. Misra, a critical failure, I imagine, does not hit you.
Nope, not a bit.
And then the 2 on the ground, one is going to run at each of you, Sword and Oldman. The first one's against you, Sword. Oh, I gotta roll it public. The first one's against you, Sword. Does a 17 hit you, Sword? That's close.
Negative.
Yep. And then against you, Oldman. That's a 13.
It would.
But
shield.
Yes, I suspected. You cast up an arcane shield, blocking the strike. Sword, your shield kind of comes in front of the blow of the magman in front of you, and the 2 mephits. The only one to be struck at this particular time is Anadoltia. The other one kind of fumbles as it goes after you, Sotaria. As we move now in initiative to you, Oldman, what do you wish to do?
Well, luckily all this combat in the past week has got me ready.
Ah, wonderful.
Goodbye, flaming beasts!
Oh, God. What is the width on that? The height, I guess?
I believe it's 30 by 10 by 10.
30 by
10 by 10.
What's the 30? Is the 30 the width or the height?
Give me.
Sorry, we're in a very 3-dimensional space. That's a tricky one in this one because you might just get them all because they had to bunch up to get at you guys because you guys were all pretty close.
And they were supposed to take spirit guardian damage too.
Oh, they did. They rolled their wisdom saves, if you remember. They both rolled very high. Okay, so 30 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 10... Okay, so it cannot get the ones that are up in the air, but the 2 on the ground, they're going to make dexterity saving throws. Which one of them succeeds on, and one of them fails. As you... these creatures have basically just kind of composed of magma and fire. As you crash this tidal wave down on top of the 2 of them, they just kind of sizzle. And as they kind of burn out and fall down in size, You see one of them, it kind of reaches its... Actually, no, both of them in this case. Both of them kind of go into these death throes where they begin to... and both of them explode. I'm going to say that both of you, because they just were doused in a ton of water and the water is kind of dampening the explosion a little bit, Sword and Oldman, I need both of you to make 2 dexterity saving throws, but I'm going to say you have resistance to the damage from it because of the water. All right, so make me 1 more each because both of them are exploding. So for the first one, both of you take half of that, so both of you take no damage from the first one. And then for the second one, Sword, you take 3 points of fire damage, and Oldman, you take... Sword, you take 1 point of fire damage, and Oldman, you take 3, as these 2 creatures just both explode in front of you.
Well then, had to put out so many fires, and a lot of people have fear of fire, you'd be surprised.
Very good. In that case, that is going to bring us to the top of the initiative. Sotaria, what do you want to do? This thing is bearing down on you. You don't think it would be completely unaffected if you tried to attack it, though. I'll say that.
Alright then, fine. In that case, he's like real close, right?
Yeah, he's, this thing's right up in your grill.
That's what I thought. Alright, no bows and arrows for me. Too bad. In that case, I'm going to take out my short sword and... Oh, that's right. I'm gonna attack it.
Absolutely, that hits. Go ahead and roll damage on that. Woo! 10 points of damage. You stab into the creature. It seems like it's made of slightly tougher stuff than the other one was. So as you kind of pierce it with the short sword, it looks at you and just... it kind of growls in. You can feel the heat of the blade, but not quite enough to finish it off, but a good hit. Anything else on your turn?
I'm gonna move down. I'm gonna go back down to the ground.
Okay, that's going to provoke an opportunity attack. Are you okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay. They're going to make a claw attack at you, which... Oh, that critically hits.
Damn.
For a total of 14 points of damage. The claw kind of rakes into your armor and kind of pulls down. You can feel the heat and the heat of the flames on their fist, as well as just the sheer pain of the burning rock. But you are able to go back down to the ground. Is it all for your turn?
That's all.
All right. That is going to bring us then to, I believe it was Anadoltia next.
Yep, and I believe I will do for now. 1 second.
Okay, I will use, in this case, Toll the Dead.
Very well. Go ahead and... I guess I make a wisdom saving throw for that, which I will make now. I assume that succeeds?
Yeah, I don't do nothing to them.
They are rolling very hot right now. Anything else on your turn, Anadoltia?
Well, I don't think I can do anything else, so that'll be all. I'm just gonna, try to fly backwards.
Okay. That's gonna provoke an opportunity attack. Are you okay with that?
Nothing else I can do, so yeah, go ahead.
10, I assume misses?
Miss.
Alright, yeah, they swing at you, but you duck backwards, the bat hat kind of flying in the air, as it moves now to Sword. Your turn. What do you wish to do?
Is Sotaria out of my reach?
No, Sotaria is back within your reach. Sotaria went back down to the ground.
Alright, in that case, I'm going to cast Cure Wounds.
Very well. You do so.
Appreciate it.
You gain 12 points of healing as Sword imagine you slap Sotaria on the back and all of a sudden the wounds just heal instantly. the old comrades. Anything else on your turn, Sword?
That's about the extent I can do right now.
Very well. In that case, the Magamethods, it is their turn, and at the start of their turn, they're going to make another Wisdom saving throw against your Spiritual Guardians, which they definitely fail this time. If you want to roll that damage again. And, oh, it's a lot more damage this time, too, as they take... That is a high roll. They take 21 points of radiant damage each. One of them, the one that Sotaria stabbed before, just... it explodes in the air, and you're definitely at this point glad that you were not standing next to it when it does, Sotaria. And the other one is still sort of barely hanging on as it flies down towards, kind of giving up on Anadoltia and flying down towards the pack of you. I need all of you to make me a dexterity saving throw.
Oof.
All of you actually succeed. And so each of you only take 4 points.
Are you
of
sure?
fire.
I only rolled a 4.
Yeah, an 11. Oh, wait. 4. Oh, I was looking at. I'm sorry, Frog, you didn't have to make one. I was looking at 11, 13, and 20 because you weren't in range of this. So you fail, Sword. But Oldman and Sotaria, you succeed. So, Sword, you take 9 points of fire damage, and Oldman and Sotaria, both of you, take half of that to 4 points of fire damage as it and fire kind of comes out of its mouth in a conical fire breath attack. And that is all for this creature's turn. It's going to roll to recharge that, but my instincts tell me it may not survive the round, as only one of them remains, and we move on to Oldman. What do you wish to do?
How close is it to everybody?
It's about 15 feet away from you all right now.
Oh, well then, in that case... I'm just gonna put on some mage armor and say, go get him, guys!
You watch as a sheen of energy appears around Oldman, protecting Oldman from possible harm, as we move next in initiative to the top of the initiative, which is you, Sotaria.
Oh, I'm also gonna begin drawing while I can in these, 3 seconds.
Yeah, you're right now, it's just kind of about impressions, because you know that you don't have a lot of time. Sotaria, the creature is now at range of you. What do you wish to do? That definitely hits. Roll the damage. And with 6 points of piercing damage, you pull back, and with the huge Spirit Guardian damage that happened before to it, it explodes. None of you are close enough to take the blast radius, and you are all of these kind of creatures have dissipated. As they do, and their kind of forms disappear, you watch as they kind of turn into this black, smoky fog, and they sort of drift up into the sky in the way that you've seen. Those of you who have already interacted with these nightmare creatures in the way that you've already seen them kind of disappear.
This can't be good for the planet.
What do you all do?
So, where is the lady?
I have a pretty good memory. Let me finish my drawing.
She is kind of leaning on the ground, down on one knee, kind of catching her breath at the moment from running away. She turns and looks back towards you, Sotaria, and just says, Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm walking over there and I'm being really, really, really all comforting stuff, but I'm really picking her pockets because I'm really annoyed that she came and brought fire over there to us.
All right, yeah, you go in for kind of a fake hug. Go ahead and make me a sleight of hand check.
Dang it. Where is it?
In the distance, you can hear that kind of comedian still going to still speaking to a crowd of people that don't appreciate his jokes. The Morts over there just kind of talking. So, what's going on? Hey, how about that Green Sun? What about that Green Sun cult? Pretty scary. I don't like the way. You guys heard that one before, and you hear just more kind of tomatoes being tossed. In the distance, you hear a heavy footfall, and the ground begins to shake. As that's happening, though, you reach into this woman's pockets. I'm just going to have her roll a perception check with disadvantage. Because, yeah. And you grab a nice, cool 12 gold pieces out of her pocket as you do so, and she just kind of looks at you, and assuming that you're comforting her, just kind of gives you a hug and says, "Well, thank you so much."
You're so welcome. Now hurry along and get home and stay out of trouble, and try not to fall.
You be safe too, all of you. It's dangerous out here. Another heavy footfall crashes in the distance.
Okay.
You may want to get home pretty quickly.
Anadoltia will try to fly into the air and try to spot where these footfalls are coming from.
As you're kind of moving up, it's actually a little bit tough to get a good angle. As I described, the buildings are taller than they usually are, and the higher you go, the more they just seem to stretch upwards into infinity. You just kind of have this greater perspective on what in front of you is just kind of, you have a taller view of the street and the space around you. And as you keep on going up and up, you're moving into the clouds. But you do eventually see, coming from an alley up ahead, you can see on one of the larger buildings, you see another kind of crash, and a massive claw strikes the outside of it, kind of reaching around to curve out onto the main thoroughfare where all of you are standing, and it is directly in the way of your destination, the clock tower that lies at the end of the street.
I believe I shall contact who's with me at the moment. Does that little radio thing will it allow me to do that?
It's more kind of long-term travel, but I mean, you can just speak to them. They can hear you from where you are. Okay,
then yeah, I'll do that. One says, "We got something big coming up there," and relay where exactly it is.
Yeah.
And then I'll fly downward to get around where Molly is.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can kind of see the shadow before anyone else can see it actually moving onto the street because of the angle. But yeah, all of you see that big kind of claw wrap around, and then a head kind of curls out from the side of it, and you see what looks like a very large and a very old-looking dragon curl its head. But the dragon's skin is a deep, deep black, and its shadow curls and moves up around its horn. It is a shadow dragon that appears, and you see as it kind of curls onto the street, it just kind of...
Thank God I have this out. I must draw this.
Another footfall. It steps into the kind of road in front of you. You look at a foe before you that is very possibly insurmountable. You can't imagine how many nightmares went into putting this kind of thing before you. But it now stands directly in your path, although it doesn't necessarily seem to have noticed you at the end of the street yet. What do you all want to do?
Please let it dream of a horde. Please let it dream of a horde. Please let him dream of a dragon's horde. I would love some more gold inside my pocket.
No one's afraid of the horde. They're only afraid of the dragon, Sotaria.
Anadoltia's probably right now just say, okay, this might be tricky, so... And she just casts Armor of Agnes upon herself.
Good idea.
I'm going to top everybody off.
I'm going to be drawing! This thing is a once-in-a-lifetime chance!
Oldman, you pull out your notepad and start sketching. You're just trying to get rough forms because you know you're going to have to probably run very soon. And...
I'm invisible now!
Oh yes, you become invisible. Oldman just kind of disappears next to you, probably wisely. And all of you gain 7 points of health as Sword calls upon the healing energy of his...
Thank you, Sword!
And the creature, a heavy footfall, it continues down the street towards you. You can hear it kind of smelling the air. It doesn't seem to have noticed you from the kind of curve of the street yet, and you're also just very small compared to
I do have a question. Can Anadoltia be able to lead her party around where Drag will most likely not notice them because of her feature? Was it the urchin?
Yeah, I will actually say that you have a pretty good... If there's a city in Central City that would apply to the urchin background... I'm sorry, if there's a city in the land of DnDTime that would apply to that background, it would be Central City. So I'll say that you have a pretty fair idea of how to move around, and you're able to kind of find the difficult places a little bit better. on the same regard, Central City is changed and odd by the way the nightmares are affecting it at the moment, so you don't have a complete understanding of the layout. But I will say that will allow you to kind of try and like just dodge and trick the thing with your movements. So why don't you? Are you all going to kind of follow Anadoltia's lead on this?
Sounds like a plan.
As long as I have a good sight to continue drawing this.
I assume Anadoltia is going to be taking you out of sight immediately.
I'll take him out of sight, but only out of sight of the dragon, but allow him to be able to be able to.
Oh, I'm invisible. Don't you worry.
Oldman is also invisible. So yeah.
In that case, I ain't gonna worry.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I can definitely imagine. And you're looking around for the same kind of hidey holes that you used when you were living on the streets as a child. And Anadoltia, you go ahead and lead. Go ahead and make me. Why don't? Anadoltia, you're leading the charge. Why don't you make me a stealth check, and I'm going to give you advantage.
All right, one moment.
And Oldman, since you're actively trying to kind of shirk the dragon and like be in front of it but still draw it, I need you to also make me a stealth check since you're not necessarily following. But you also have advantage, Natch, because you're invisible.
Oh, Oldman, just out of curiosity, do you want to borrow my broom?
Pretty good.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That way I could get aerial shots as well.
I wasn't thinking of aerial shots. I was thinking of you moving.
Well, I suppose.
The creature it's just kind of still smelling the air. It marks down the street, and for a second it seems, and Anadoltia, Oldman, you both freeze as the dragon seems to have kind of locked on to your location. It moves down. Its head gets up very kind of close. Its body is very close to where you are, Oldman, and it. And it kind of looks past and takes a couple steps away from you, and you seem to be in the clear for the moment. I need you to, since it was very close, I need you to make me one more stealth check, each of you, with advantage, to try and completely shirk around this dragon.
Okay, I will say beforehand that if it seems to notice me, I'm going to hit it with the butterfly net.
Very well. Ooh. At this point, Sword, Sword, you're following the guidance of Adolcia, so you don't have to roll. Although, actually, no, you do make a stealth check, but I want you to make it with advantage, even despite your armor. 11, okay. The dragon, once again, turns and looks towards you as it makes its... And it looks around, and Anadoltia, you're kind of curving down into a very small space, somewhere that you don't think it's going to be able to follow you. But right at that moment, Sotaria, it has not detected you, but it turns around, and it makes a very clear eye contact at you, Sword, and Anadoltia, and just... and starts stomping faster in your direction. Oldman, it seems to be kind of ignoring you because you're invisible, but for a moment, the footfall goes to like land right on top of you, almost as if it knows where you are, but it's just not focused on you yet, and you kind of duck out of the way of that. But this thing is angry and now chasing you. What do you all do?
As I said, I had my butterfly net ready.
Oh, yes!
So,
can you put the butterfly net up for me?
1 second.
Or it has to make a save, I assume, against it.
Yeah, say, wisdom, I guess it's a wisdom save of 14. Flat.
And how does that work again?
Let me get to the thing.
Oh, you have to hit it with an attack, and then...
Yeah, if I hit it with an attack, it has to make a wisdom save against 14, and if it fails, it becomes a butterfly within my net.
I love it. Go ahead and make me an attack roll. These are some heroics right here. 20 hits! And it's going to make a wisdom saving throw. It has a +4 bonus, but... Oh, it succeeds on the wisdom saving throw, unfortunately. You swing the you swing the butterfly net into the creature. Once it has kind of seen you and it goes down towards you, it just kind of ignores the attack, not expecting any threat from a humble butterfly net. It strikes into you. You strike into the kind of creature's leg with it, and for a brief moment, you connected, and as you do, the dragon kind of shakes its head a little bit and looks down at you now, kind of a kind of blue light appearing in its eyes as it looks absolutely furious about this. Go ahead and roll for initiative. Actually, this is more of I'm going to have this be a skill challenge to escape this dragon is the way that we're going to rule this. That is going to begin.
Do we still need to roll initiative?
No, don't. The way we're going to do this is not through initiative. And the way the skill challenges work is I want you to all describe to me what strategy you're going to use to kind of escape the dragon now that it has detected you outright and it's just chasing you. How are you going to try and get out of the way of this dragon? What is everyone doing?
Okay, if I may ask, you said that the city around us is pretty much warped, but does that change the composition of the buildings?
They appear to be made of stone, maybe slightly different looking stone, but stone.
Oh, that's good.
Some of them would.
All right. So could this skill challenge, do I have to make a skill roll, or could I make a slight attack roll and still help?
What's the exact thing that you want to do?
I want to try to use shatter.
Oh, to kind of like blow up a building around you and like create some rubble in front of the creature? Is that the idea, or?
Yes, correct.
Okay, radical. Yeah, you go ahead and roll damage on that shatter for me, because it definitely hits. A 12 points of damage. All right, yeah. That'll count as a success. You explode the side of one of the buildings. The rocks and rubble curve and fall downwards in front of the creature. Some of them, the buildings are so tall, it seems to like reverberate upwards, and this shatter ends up taking down with the structural integrity of it kind of changed. A lot of the side of one of these buildings, which kind of pours on top of the dragon.
Yeah, at that point, I'm going like I guess I say unsummon Molly and just full speed as far as I can in the direction of the clock tower.
All right, yeah. What is everyone else doing? So you have one success. You have to accumulate 3 successes before you accumulate 3 failures. What are you guys doing to try and get in front of this, stop this dragon from basically consuming you?
Question.
Yes.
He's currently slightly distracted, and he still hasn't detected me, correct?
You are still stealthed, yes.
Good. In that case, longbow to the eye.
All right, just go ahead and make an attack roll with advantage. Or it's not going to be with advantage. It's going to be flat out because it's going to be flat out because you would have disadvantage because it's a called shot and you're trying to get specifically the eye. But advantage because you are undetected. You pull back the longbow, you fire it, and it kind of it just strikes off some of the scales right on the edge of the eye, not quite making contact, unfortunately. And now you are definitely detected as the creature looks at you. You have 1 success and 1 failure as a party. What are other people doing to try and stop this dragon as it's trying to get you?
How far away is it from us?
At the moment, it's kind of looming down above you, so it's not like within melee, but it's pretty close to you. The rubble has kind of put a little bit of a block between you and the creature. Actually, Oldman, you're also on the wrong side of that rubble, but we'll cross that bridge.
I can fly with my new broom. Oh, that's right. You're so good.
Very slowly, though. That's the only hits to that broom.
That is so anyway, yeah, you're fairly close to it, but it doesn't look to be taking you too seriously at the moment. What are you gonna do, Sword?
In that case, I'm going to use my Cloak of Many Fashions and change its pattern to kind of match the rubble. Give me some camouflage since we have that rubble kind of.
Oh, you're just gonna try and hide again?
Well, I'm gonna try to hide.
No, I like it.
I mean, I just have my.
No, I think that justifies it. Go ahead and make me a stealth check. Just make it flat. Oof. Sword, you kind of duck and cover into the rubble. It is now kind of this You're gray within it, and you're hiding there, and the dragon still seems to be looking kind of straight at you. Yeah, you have 2 failures now. If you reach 3 failures, the dragon will begin to take you guys seriously. Oldman, you got...
I am currently drawing, and then I'm going to look for a nearby alleyway.
All right, you've been drawing.
And outside of the nearby alleyway, I am going to make the appearance of a crowd of very delicious-smelling people running across and right across the dragon's view.
Okay. So it is going to make an intelligence investigation check to see if it's able to kind of discern that this is something that it can't do. Is that correct? Is that how that works?
Indeed.
Which, at a 12, I don't believe that would meet your DC, correct?
Correct. 15.
As the crowd of kind of running and screaming people appears behind it, its head kind of turns, and seeing a much better prize, begins kind of walking, ambling over in that direction, now kind of ignoring you, Sword, and giving you guys a little bit more space between yourselves and the creature. It goes down to kind of strike at the crowd. In that kind of gap of time, Oldman, you're able to kind of reform up with the rest of the party and get in that space. You have 2 successes and 2 failures. Up ahead in the alley that you're in, you can see what looks like a portcullis on the side of one of these buildings, and a hand is kind of reaching out of it, gesturing and kind of pulling you forward. You need to do one more thing to stop this dragon from getting you, or it is going to start attacking you. What do you all want to do?
This is a tricky situation. So, I mean, already kind of distracted with the building, and
yeah, you just
yeah,
if any of you have an idea.
Actually, no. Let me check something.
How heavy is rubble?
Heavy. This is my answer. If you want to do a spell, I'll probably allow it, but if it involves rebel. Anyone
question.
can apply something.
Old man.
Yes.
Oh man, I got a question for you. Is there any way you can possibly cast another illusion spell and make one of those buildings look like a ton of gold?
A ton of gold? Well, I wouldn't be able to do a whole building.
Also, you don't think it would work the same? It would fall for the same trick twice. You have to, in the nature of skill challenges, you have to kind of use a different ability each time you try attacking the creature.
Okay, let me try this here. I'm going to go up to a bunch of the rebels and try to cast levitate in order to move it to sort of reform the wall.
But like parallel to the road?
Pretty much blocking off the alleyway.
Perpendicular to the alley. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, go ahead and make me... This is just going to be an Arcana check, or a spellcasting ability check, to see how well you're able to do this.
Okay, let me do spellcast.
And I will say that I'll give you advantage, because I'm going to say that Anadoltia has kind of helped you by creating it in the first place, and I imagine Anadoltia is kind of... yeah, I'm going to give you advantage on this one, so go ahead and roll it for me. Well, 26 is a high number, and... Oldman, you kind of pick up some of these rocks and begin placing them back down in kind of piles as best you can as you're moving them around. It's only about 500 pounds of material that you're moving around, so you can't get quite all of the rubble, but you form this sort of makeshift wall in front of the creature and kind of continue on into the space. That is... and with that, you guys have accumulated 3 successes. As the dragon lashes into the fake crowd, turns around in anger. Enough! It turns, it kind of reaches the wall. The 4 of you are already kind of running, and it sees this new kind of barricade in front of it. And it crashes through, and with kind of one strong strike, it hits it. It doesn't even go down in one. It takes another one, and you guys have a huge distance lead on this dragon as you do so. That hand leading out of the portcullis is still sort of gesturing towards you, asking you to, bidding you into whatever space that it's in. Do you follow it, or do you just head straight ahead towards the clock tower? This would get you off the street.
I have a question. Like, the alley is dark, correct?
The alley is lit by an unnatural red light coming from the
I mean, can we see like what color the hand is? From...
The hand is clad in black robes. The hand itself is just kind of like it's just kind of a flesh color, but it's.
Can I cast message and ask it who it is? Or what?
Yeah, you speak to whatever creature is behind it in the mine. As you kind of move up and past this portcullis, you see by the dress it appears to be a member of the Cult of the Green Sun, which responds to you in turn, and it speaks to you. I am a designated representative. Step forward and be liberated.
Okay, then I'm convinced. Anadoltia like flies through the portcullis.
Yeah, okay, the portcullis lifts up, and Anadoltia, you step through, despite that slightly ominous message, which I like. Anyone else? Is everyone just going to kind of follow along in this instance?
Can I cast an insight check on that?
Your insight is your own in this instance.
Oh, God.
The Cult of the Green Sun agents are very... I mean, you know that they're notoriously honest. Like...
Well, I guess I'm going to stand in front of the portcullis, trying to finish off the details of my drawing, and then step in.
Oldman waits as long as possible before kind of hopping in. You all move to the side, and it shuts down behind you. You watch as the kind of dragon goes and tries to break down, but it seems to be fairly solid. And this figure now looking at you leads you forward. You are members of the Blue Ones troupe.
That's correct.
Unfortunately.
Yes, right now we're trying to get in contact with Phillip Q. Janglebones.
Oh, Sotaria, thank you for your broom. Here you go.
Do you know the location of this individual?
Yes, the clock tower. At least as far as we can tell.
We can guide you beneath the city. Central City stands united. It is too early for this place to fall.
Thank you.
And this representative kind of starts walking you through a lot of very elaborate underground tunnels in this sewer. You move through a space that appears to be something of a speakeasy, actually. And you see tons and tons of people, for the sake of brevity, as we're a little bit longer than I expected. You see lots of people kind of standing in this space, refugees, citizens that are kind of hiding down in this area. You see various morts working behind the counter, tossing out cups of coffee and delivering energy drinks to people to keep everyone awake in this kind of space that they've created under the city, undetected. You see agents of the Cult of the Green Sun kind of walking in and just kind of doors on the wall just sort of appearing, and people, more kind of refugees, walking into this huge underground space. Your particular Cult of the Green Sun representative looks to you. This will lead you to the clock tower. Puts his hand on the wall, and again, there's no sound, there's no kind of sign of magic. It's just there's a hole in the wall now that is in the shape of the door, and it leads into kind of a spiral staircase leading up.
By Bill, you guys are efficient.
Well, they wouldn't be efficient if they weren't the Cult of the Green Sun, so
and
thank you.
The creature responds, "You are correct." And yeah, your way forward is presented to you.
Shall we? Sword, would you like to lead the way?
I guess, since I have the highest honor.
All right.
And also use perception, like listen up through the tower, and hopefully ensure there's no really more dangerous creatures ahead.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and make perception check. All you can hear above you is the sound of the clock's inner gears kind of working, and the steady kind of ticking of the clock up above. The same with you. Sword. The only thing you pick up, Anadoltia, you hear just for a brief moment kind of a
Yeah, in that case, Anadoltia will say, okay, sounds like our friendly fellow Lich is in trouble. So,
Lich?
Philip J.
He's just a skeleton.
Well, I'm still unsure what he is, but it sounds like he's in trouble.
You kind of
Or he
walk
just
up.
saw the dragon.
You kind of walk up the creaking spiral staircase into the inside of the building, and as you kind of crest to the top, you can see Phillip Q. You can see Phillip Q. Janglebones. He's dressed in what appears to be sort of a, as you know, he's always wearing some kind of disguise. He's dressed in what appears to be sort of a Sherlock hat, and he's wearing kind of like a tweed jacket, and he's got like a magnifying glass that you see him kind of dropping out of his hand as kind of a. And as you're kind of entering into the space, you hear him calling out, "Get your nightmare paws off of me!" And all of a sudden, kind of in a cloak of black, you see something kind of rain down behind him, and he's all of a sudden wearing what looks to be robes, and he kind of turns and looks at you, his eyes glowing a color of red that you've never quite seen, as Phillip Q. Janglebones seems to have been affected by some type of nightmare, and he turns to kind of look at you. "Ah! Greetings, adventurers! You're just in time!"
In time for what? I don't want to know.
Sotaria fades into the shadows.
"I have some very important news about the whereabouts of Bartholomew."
Yeah, Anadoltia probably seen this. Like, I mean, did Anadoltia really see like the nightmare kind of poke over him?
He's wearing a cloak now with pure black kind of whirling shadow that you've never seen him wear before. He does very much look like a lich in this moment.
Yeah, Anadoltia in that case says, "Well, I'm pretty sure you do, as a representative of the Nightmare Court, or so I've heard." And she kind of like gives him a kind of a stare.
I don't really want to know, but I'm sure you'll tell us anyway.
You're exactly correct! Well, actually, you're exactly wrong. I assumed that you thought I was going to tell you where it was, but I'm not. You're going to die here, and no one is going to know about how to stop this awful menace. Hey!
What makes you so sure you will stop us?
Oh, because I'm incredibly strong, and you're incredibly weak.
Well, you know what they say. Great things come in small packages. And she kind of like floats up with a bonus action, like activates the cloak of billowing.
The cloak kind of billows and goes, "I'm afraid your time is up. Get it? Time! There's a clock nearby." Go ahead and roll for initiative.
That's a good one.
Phillip Q. Janglebones. Oh, I never get to use Phillip Q. Janglebones. Very exciting. Anadoltia, you are the first one to act.
Okay, in that case, I know he, in the past he said he did not really want to be anywhere near this, but I believe it is time for him to experience what chill touch feels like.
All right, go ahead and make me an attack roll. 20 does in fact hit. For I believe it has disadvantage on its next attack roll. Very well. And for a grand total of 8 points of necrotic damage, as the kind of spectral hand appears and drains some of Phillip Q. Janglebones' life energy. Just he kind of holds his hands up into the air. Anything else on your turn?
That'll be all.
All right, that is going to bring us then to his turn, at which point he goes, "All right, time to use my demi-lich's howl!" And he goes, and he seems to stop himself. No! And something in Phillip Q. Janglebones is trying to resist what might have been a very powerful effect, and he just and he just kind of throws the energy from that effect down onto the ground. And you watch as from that space, all of a sudden, summoned into this space, you watch as out from the ground. Hold on a second, let me roll. Wow, a single skeleton and a single zombie appears in the space. Clack, clack, clack. The two creatures kind of pop up, and they are now in the fight. And he goes, "I won't let you do that!" And then he goes, "Destroy them!" and points at the two skeletons, and the skeleton and zombie and those creatures begin kind of moving towards you. But it seems he's resisting. And as it did, you watch as the kind of cloak that he was wearing, it seemed like two kind of eyes appeared on the cloak itself, bright red. And kind of made a hissing noise. That's going to bring us next in initiative to, well, that skeleton and zombie. That zombie is going to move over and try and get you, Sword, with its zombie attack. Oh, well, I rolled it to GM, so you didn't get to see it. That he crit, so you missed out on the crit, but you do get hit for 2 points of bludgeoning damage by the zombie. The skeleton is going to move over towards you, Oldman. Or actually, no, it's going to go into you, Anadoltia, because you're the first to strike. It's going to make a sword attack against you, which it will not have advantage on. 16.
That would barely hit, but is this melee?
Yeah.
Then it takes 10 points of ice or cold damage.
And explodes. Oh wait, actually, 10 points? That is actually not quite enough to finish the skeleton off, unfortunately. It looks very rough as the armor of Agathis lashes back at it, and its bones kind of crack and freeze. And you hear him go, "Curses! Wait, yay!" That's going to bring us next in the initiative to... Who was next? A lot of things happened there. That's going to bring us to Sword.
Spirit Guardians.
Classic. Do you want to focus it on the bone zone, or on the kind of creatures that are on the ground?
Let's focus on the creatures on the ground, and then we'll just focus on that black robe with surrounding Janglebones.
Okay, so you're mostly trying to focus on Janglebones. Great.
Little
okay.
guys first, yeah.
Okay. In that case, they're going to both make wisdom saving throws, which they're probably going to fail. Blah, blah, blah. And I believe after that it's going to be... was it Oldman or Sotaria next? Yeah, they both fail, and they both disintegrate. In the kind of radiant light. When it gets back around to their turn, they will. They're still technically alive right now, but my bad. So, Sotaria, what do you wish to do?
Being that I'm in the shadows, let's see. We're in the clock tower, right?
Yep.
I'm going for some high ground. And we still have both the zombie and the skeleton to deal with, right?
Nope, Spirit Guardians finished them off.
They're technically still alive, but they're going to die to Spirit Guardians on their turn.
Okay. So in that case, nah. We're gonna I'm gonna go up to higher ground, and I'm gonna aim for that cloak of darkness.
All right, go ahead and make an attack roll. 23 hits, roll damage. Your arrow kind of pulls back and flies. It passes straight through the cloak in the back and kind of makes a rip in it. The sound does not come from Phillip Q Janglebones, but from the cloak itself. That just kind of responds with a and you hear Janglebones go, "Great shot, terrible shot!" And anything else on your turn, Sotaria?
Nah, I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
You hear from Phillip Q Janglebones, he kind of cries out, "Yeah, give me your life energy!" I need you all to make me Constitution saving throws.
Oh, this.
Oof, everyone but Anadoltia in this instance is going to take 12 points of 12 points of necrotic damage. Actually, I'm sorry, that's not necrotic damage. That is 12 points of damage to your hit points maximum. So you all lose 12 points off your maximum hit points that can't technically be healed. As you watch Phillip Q Janglebones just starts pulling, kind of like pulling in the space, and your kind of life energy gets pulled up into the skeleton's skull. Much better!
Quick question.
That's his legendary action that he used to do that.
Quick question.
Yes.
Does our current HP stay the same? Or does it go down to it?
If your current HP also is brought down by 12. In that case, that was a legendary action, so that's going to bring us to Oldman. What do you wish to do?
Oldman is going to try to, what's the word? Go towards Phillip Q Janglebones' heart. He's going to minor illusion in lawyer outfits. And be like, wouldn't you rather be wearing this instead? It would look so much better on you.
Make a persuasion check with advantage. I love that. $16. Phillip Q Janglebones just... Phillip Q Janglebones, Esquire, attorney at law! And at the end of his turn, he goes to use another legendary action, and through your power, just kind of, no! Stops and resists, and his legendary actions have been shut down for a round.
Question.
By the power of your persuasion.
I have a question. Did my chill touch do anything for the disadvantaging?
He did not make any attack rolls.
Okay.
Yeah, that's specifically for attacks. I actually don't know if he has an attack. Anything else on your turn, Oldman? You have a bonus action?
Yep, that's all.
It's pretty good. That's going to bring us then to the top of the initiative, which was you and Anadoltia.
So, I want to confirm that he hasn't gained any hit points.
Unclear. The cloak certainly hasn't.
I mean, either one, because, well, at least my target, I should say, because chill touch will not allow it to gain hit points.
Oh, okay. Very good.
But in any case, I will continue my assault with chill touch, I believe.
All right, go ahead and make an attack roll. The zombie and skeleton disappeared, by the way. 16, unfortunately... are you targeting Janglebones or the cloak?
Yeah, actually, I might just, kind of throw that back, because since we kind of revealed the cloak is of its own, so actually I shall change it, and instead, instead I will, target the cloak itself with Eldritch Blast.
Alright, go ahead and make that attack then. That hits for 8 points of force damage. The Eldritch Blast strikes in. And bonus action?
I'm not able to do any, except for I might try to fly a bit higher.
Okay. There's not a ton of space on the inside of the clock here, but you go up as high as you can towards the ceiling, and that brings us to Phillip Q Janglebones, who's going to once more... Oh wow, that's a lot more this time. 4 zombies and 3 skeletons emerge as he summons a whole bunch more onto the ground. The zombies, I think 3 of them are going to actually just... I think all the zombies are just going straight towards you, Sword. They're just going to beat you down, and the skeletons are... Because Oldman, you're right there, so I think the 3 skeletons are going at you, and Sotaria, who's at the back, just shooting, is relatively safe. Zombies, do any of those hit, Sword?
Negative.
And against you, Oldman. 16, 8, and 15. Do 16 or 15 hit?
Not anymore.
I know you have the mage armor. 16 doesn't hit. Damn. Oh, shields. Okay. You throw up your magic shield in front of you, keeping you safe from harm as the skeletons kind of snatch it. The zombies pound down at your armor. You're both surrounded very tightly, but both completely unharmed. That is going to bring us next in the initiative to Sword. What do you want to do?
I hope you applied that Spirit Guardian damage.
On the start of their turn, they will take it.
I'm gonna tell Sword to back off!
Also, did you make a concentration check on the Spirit Guardians last time?
You know what? No, I didn't.
Alright, why don't you go ahead and roll that just to make sure that's still up. Yeah, that's still fine. Sword, what's he gonna do?
Well, how far away is Janglebones?
Janglebones is... I mean, it's within range of, like, all of your attacks. You're not necessarily in melee, but there's nothing you couldn't, like, target with them from at a distance. 15 feet, I'll say. What's it gonna be?
I think I'm going to pull out the Hornet's Nest.
Alright. Gonna go up to Janglebones and give him a whack?
Not Janglebones itself, the cloak.
Okay, yeah. So you move over to there. As you do so, a big pile of zombie attacks that probably won't hit you. Oh man, one of them connects with the big 23. You take 10 points of bludgeoning damage, and I need you to make another concentration check. And the Spirit Guardians dissipates, unfortunately, but you power through the horde of zombies bravely, pushing them aside as you walk up towards Phillip Q, Janglebones, and swing at the cloak. Go ahead and make me an attack roll. Oh, their attack already happened, I'm sorry. So yeah, 14 definitely hits the cloak. You swing with it, the bees kind of fly out, and you get, oh my god, there's a huge bug in my room, I'm terrified. Unrelated to the Hornet's Nest, I just saw there's like a huge grasshopper on my wall right above me, and it's freaking me out. Sorry. The bees fly out and start just kind of like tearing at the zzz and kind of pulling at the cloak. The cloak's starting to look a little bit tattered. That's going to bring us then to Sotaria. What do you wish to do?
Guys, nah, never mind. Let's just get rid of this stupid cloak so we don't have to worry about it no more. I'm hitting the cloak again.
All right, roll it.
Oh, but
roll damage. 24 definitely. Oh my god, 12 points of piercing damage. You pull back an arrow, let it fly. It passes neatly through one of Janglebones' ribs, through the kind of lawyer disguise and out the back of the cloak, which leaves kind of a huge gash in the back. It is very near. Gone. As we move now on to Oldman's turn. What do you wish to do, Oldman?
Time to clean off the roof!
Okay, what do you do?
This way! Oh, god damn. This wave is gonna clock you!
Alright, he's gonna make a dexterity saving throw.
No, all of them are minions.
Oh, damn, everything makes dexterity saving throws. One, fail. Two of the skeletons fail. There was only 3 skeletons, I shouldn't have rolled it 4 times. And then the zombies probably all fail. Yeah, the zombies all fail. Doesn't that affect allies as well?
It does, if it would reach them.
Then Sword, I need you to also make a dexterity saving throw, and Anadoltia, you're just barely out of the way of this, as the ceiling is 15 feet high. But Sword, yeah. Sword, you also, I need you to make me another dexterity saving throw. Okay, you're good. Sword, the tidal wave, oh, and then I forgot to roll for Janglebones. Janglebones is good. The The kind of torrent of water whips and rages forward. All of the zombies and skeletons just get thrown out kind of the outside of the clock tower, which is a little bit open on the top. The clock itself kind of shatters. The bell kind of chimes once more, and the clock is just kind of like destroyed as this huge torrent of water pours all of them out. Sword, you get thrown out of the clock tower as well, but at the last minute a hand reaches up and grabs onto the side as you're still kind of safe in the space that you're in.
I guess their time is up.
Yes, and the cloak is not actually affected by that damage, so that is going to bring us to the top of the initiative once more, which is you and Anadoltia.
Sorry, Sword. I'll get you up in a second.
Yeah, Sword, you're just barely hanging on for dear life.
Okay, so Anadoltia will actually do a combination at this time. She will target the cloak with she'll target the cloak with Eldritch Blast while activating while activating Fright.
Oh, damn! Ooh! Go ahead and roll me your attack roll. The answer is almost, unless you critically fail. Oh my god! Now, I have a question, Anadoltia, and I'm gonna say this. You are aware that Fright, you can roll the dice and then determine if you want to use Fright after. Would you like to conserve your Fright? Because you already crit?
Yeah, I would like to conserve the Fright.
Yeah, I'll let you keep it. And you fly out with a blast of Eldritch Force, which strikes straight through Janglebones, and you watch as all of his ribs just kind of shatter and explode into sparks, and then passes through the kind of center of his form, and now he's just kind of a floating skull, and the cloak kind of flies out past him off of Janglebones' shoulders, who goes, Nyah! The cloak flies backwards through the clock tower out into the air, and just explodes in a shower of shadow and eldritch force, and Janglebones in this moment is liberated by your strike.
And I guess for a final action after, I will kind of fly down and...
Cloak of billowing?
No, not quite. I was going to say, you said he's just a head at the moment, right?
Yeah, he's just a floating head.
Okay, so his head actually is able to float.
Yes.
Alright, in that case, yeah, I will use the bonus action to, fly towards, the edge of the tower and, activate the billowing cloak says, I shall keep the city safe.
Very good. That's excellent to hear. Although the city is already in a difficult situation. I apologize for the way that I was acting. My greatest nightmare has always been the inability to control my lichly powers. Now, all of you, I have an important message to deliver to you about Bartholomew and his location and whereabouts. Are you ready to receive it?
1 second. I'm gonna run over and levitate Sword back up.
Sword, you're pulled back up.
Sorry about that.
You see, Bartholomew has been pulled to a place called the Plane of Nightmares. It exists parallel to the Plane of Dreams in its darkest and most evil reflection.
I can't figure it would be something similar to that, but...
I'm guessing we should go to Sown for this.
Sown cannot help you here. You see, Sown does not have the ability to travel amidst the Plane of Nightmares. Very few do.
Well, do you know any who can travel the Plane of Nightmares?
This is the message that I wish to tell you. While I personally don't know how to travel among the planes, there are definitely some powerful entities, most of them very evil, that might. Well, I know of one individual that might be able to connect you with someone. Well, not few nightmares get out of the Plane of Nightmares. One person is fairly famous for it, though. They're an information broker. Their name is the Fugitive. I don't know their particular location, but someone with more evil connections might. Put out on your little radio there and let the adventures of Bartholomew's shop know to contact Clinton Q... I always say Q in names. Clinton Slaughter Murder, to let them know he might be able to connect them to this fugitive.
Very well. I shall do so. And Anadoltia will actually refer to all adventurers, attention all adventurers. We have received a promising clue of Bartholomew's whereabouts. However, we will need to contact someone known as the fugitive, and one of the only persons who may have connection would be Clinton Sarthermurder. So, if you can, find him and let us end this nightmare together.
Tell Mira that I'll be back for dinner. I'm sure she's listening.
And to Mira, old man McWizardface says he will try to be home for dinner as soon as he can.
And Phillip Q. Janglebones kind of rushes in and leans over into the microphone and just goes, and also, I'm here too! Yeah! And with that, the adventure is probably going to come to a close, as you have gained a valuable piece of information in seeing the world set on a better course. And for that, you have each gained 200 Bartholomew bucks and gained 1 point of experience. Congratulations, all.